day 3. This board needs to be completely built today. So we got a lot of work to do. Yeah.
I have 4 nights to build a terrain board. I decided to invite a bunch of guys over to have a MORDHEIM tournament. I don't have enough terrain. Today, we're going to build a MORDHEIM sewer in 4 nights. Hopefully, I can get it done. My vision for this board is for half of it or more than half of it to be sewers, and then the rest of it to be like piers or docks or whatever. This is all the extra stuff that I've not glued down to a board yet. Weirdly, all this is like walkways and platforms. Maybe subconsciously I knew I had this, and we can ask those existential questions later. Let's just start building. I got some cheap packing foam from some furniture some family members bought, and I'm going to be gluing it together with foam sealant. The key to making sure that this foam doesn't expand is to really squish out all the air. I'm using this as a glue and not a filler, so it's really important to do that during this step. Foam sealant is the best way to glue foam to foam. It is an expanding foam, however, so when you glue it down, you have to make sure you skewer it so it doesn't expand too much. Expanding foam will expand, and that's kind of inevitable, but making sure you put weights on it and just squishing down all the air is really essential. If Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 taught me anything, is every sewer is dependent on quarter pipes. So I'm ripping down this pipe into, go figure, some quarters, and I'm doing that with a box cutter. Because this is a round surface, you really want to be careful. And then I'm going to glue this down with some foam sealant. And this is a really good gap filler, and it's going to be a good structure to apply some texture with air dry clay later. I found a wire spool, like cardboard tube, I think, to be a good focal point for the board. Because I wanted to glue this at an angle and because it was so light, I weighed it down with a brick to make sure it stayed in place while the foam was still expanding. And I glued some extra pipes around it as well, just to kind of give it a bit more support and to kind of seal the deal with the sewer look. Now we're going to go over to the air dry clay. When applying air dry clay to a board, I always find that it's good to apply it with Elmer's glue or any type of white glue, just to kind of make sure that it doesn't crack as bad. I've done it without that, and it definitely falls off the board a little bit more. And you can always hot glue it on after the fact, but it helps to not have to do those repairs. So I went pretty heavy-handed on the Elmer's glue on the cardboard, as well as applying more Elmer's glue on top to make sure that once this is dry, it's dry for good. The next step is to texture it, and I used a rock of concrete and just kind of made some general rock textures, and then I used a texture roller wherever I thought maybe the outer coating of concrete or whatever this is made of, plaster maybe, would have been worn away with water. So most of this clay is hard now, and I 3D printed some scaffolding bits. These are really nice. They have little pegs in it, so you can just stick it right into the foam and glue it and give it a little more surface area. That's a free file on Patreon if you want it. If this isn't completely obvious, these videos are a lot of work. So if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, that would go a long way. These videos are made possible by viewers like you. So thank you if you're a patron. I really appreciate your help making these videos happen. STLs and templates are completely free over at Patreon. It's more of a resource rather than a money grab. And I do that because MORDHEIM is a free game and I absolutely love it. So if you're interested in the rules, check the description. The rulebook has so much art that has been inspiring me for more than 3 years now. Even I'll admit that the rules can be kind of clunky, but so are the rules that you have to pay like $50 for, so you might as well get the free ones. The air dried clay was making this board really heavy, and I was also sort of running out of it. So after gluing in some of the supports, I wanted to lay some cobblestones around that. And typically, I like to use pink XPS foam for bricks. So I like to make my own cobblestones out of foam core. And I glued these down with hot glue just for the sake of speed. Quick movement of a lighter will take care of all the spider webbing. Let's sit back and watch this come together.
Day 3. This board needs to be completely built today. And I need to be able to prime it and paint it tomorrow. So we got a lot of work to do. Yeah. This could be a rough one.
If you're curious on what this greenhouse structure is, that's actually my first STL pack that I released, also free. You can grab that on Patreon if you're interested. Reusing old terrain pieces that haven't found a home yet is a really fast way of filling out a terrain board. And also a really nice detail is to add some gargoyles. I 3D printed these fish drains, and I thought these would be perfect for a sewer in Mordheim. I printed out some bigger ones as well, and they actually fit perfectly to the curvature of both pipes. And that was just kind of a happy accident. I really like this detail. One of Mordheim's symbols is of a fish, and I felt like it really fit perfectly here. To fill out the terrain board and to glue down the majority of these terrain pieces, I made a PVA paint and sand texture paste, and I squished everything down into it. This glued everything down really well, and I've done this many times before, and it's a pretty good long-term bond as well. This made short work of filling out any of the dead spaces, and it had the added benefit of being able to glue down individual cobblestones or bricks, and as well as some planks to kind of run along. I don't really plan on like making this a floors lava type game, but it is always nice to have that option. And it kind of tells that story of this being kind of toxic, maybe. And it kind of gave me the idea of maybe adding a really toxic type wash at the very end. And I was really happy with that. One of the very last final steps before painting was to coat all the foam core and other foam bits with a uh, Elmer's glue or PVA and paint and mix. This makes sure that when I prime everything with a rattle can, it doesn't melt any of the foam. I also masked all the structures that were already painted with aluminum foil. And that's such a great way to mask something while you're spray painting. It's really fast to apply and really easy to remove. Because I'm matching other paint styles, I wanted to make sure that I matched the wood colors and the stone of the previous builds. So I did a gray stone, and I'm going to be doing kind of a brownish, yellowy brown for all the wood. And that was just to match my previous paint styles back when I made these a while ago. I do it a little different now, so if you're interested in that, make sure you go back and kind of watch some of my other builds. I used a dark brown to prime this because my dollar store paints that I'm going to be using to paint this thing are kind of transparent. So one or two layers of that same color goes a long way to not just do the base coat, but also do the highlight, because the second layer will make it a little bit more opaque, and it saves some time on mixing, and you don't have to worry too much about matching colors and making things look the same, because of that same base coat, it'll unify everything. I painted the greenhouses and all the gargoyles with a teal, and then I made a really toxic green type wash, and I kind of poured and dabbed that everywhere. I think one of the things that I'm going to change is I need to make this like a gloss varnish, or maybe get a gloss Mod Podge from the dollar store and make sure that this looks really wet. And I'm going to be changing that pretty soon, because once it dried matte, it wasn't as vibrant. And I definitely like this look much more. So I can't believe I got this thing done. I'm really looking forward to playing on this. And I hope it plays as well as it looks, because, yeah, it could be really cool. I'm thinking the MORDHEIM catacombs on one of the corners here, so that it could kind of act as a full-size MORDHEIM board, some of it being more of the verticality. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.